What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Temelkov, and I'm your host. On this podcast, we discuss entrepreneurship, personal development, family, tech, and marketing. Why should you listen to this podcast? This podcast is for those of you who are looking for life-changing advice and ways to thrive digitally with your business. As always, all content is 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. What's going on, everyone? I'm excited to be coming back at you with another episode of the RAS Project. Got lots of cool things that I want to discuss in this episode. And this is another solo session. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you will know that I tend to do these once in a while just to break the monotony of having guests on the podcast, simply because, not that I don't enjoy not having guests or having guests on the podcast, but it's just that I like to diversify the mix of the podcast. That's exactly what this is all about. It's real, raw, unfiltered. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and jump right into the things that I want to talk about on today's episode of the podcast. And that is, first I want to start off with the new logo. So I had a new logo developed for the podcast. And I tested out some responses on Facebook, got a lot of great responses from people, and I'm going to be rolling that out onto the social medias, and I would love to hear your feedback on that. So you can check out the new logo probably as early as tomorrow. It's going to be rolling out on the Facebook business page, on Twitter, the Twitter account, on probably on Instagram also. So make sure you keep an eye out for it. I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. Probably primarily on the Facebook business page, simply because that is where discussion can take place. That's a lot more cohesive. Facebook is, as you know, one of those platforms that, in terms of threaded discussion specifically, it's a much better choice to simply track and have a holistic overview of the entire conversation. So the next thing that I wanted to tackle is the upcoming gear that will be for sale on my website. That's going to include a podcast swag, and listen up to this one. So Temelkov.com, if you're not familiar with my website, make sure you check it out. There's going to be podcast swag and also new apparel that I'm going to be rolling out with the new logo for the podcast. And with that being said, I would like to do a giveaway as well. And here's how that's going to work, okay? I would like for you to cast a review for the podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I believe you can also do it on Spotify, iHeartRadio as well. Then share the podcast, the RAS Project, on your social platform of choice and tag me in it as well. It's that simple, okay? And in doing so, I'm going to be drawing a winner probably towards the end of March, and we'll be sending you some free swag your way with the podcast. So pretty excited about, doing that as well. So make sure you jump on that and cast a review. I would greatly appreciate it. Join in on the giveaway. There's going to be lots of cool swag. I'm pretty excited to roll this out, actually. The shop has been in the works for quite some time, and I think it's mainly because I'm constantly adding shit to it. I'm always adding new gear and new designs, and I've just gotten to a point where, I just need to launch this thing, and get it out there and, get people to buy some of the swag. So I'm pretty excited about that. Next thing that I got on the list is, in this episode, I wanted to talk about fulfillment or money. What matters most? Okay. And I'm just now actually getting to it. Probably should have mentioned that earlier on in the episode. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I think that there's a huge misconception with people when it comes to money and fulfillment. A lot of people think that money is going to give them fulfillment, meaning that money is going to make them happy. Money is going to fill voids that they have in their lives. And I will tell you this much, and this is why I want to talk about this on this episode, that I've had the pleasure to interview some very successful people on the podcast specifically, and people that I've met on social media. And there is this common denominator about the fact that money is not fulfillment. Okay. It's not going to fill in voids in your life. It's not going to fix your relationship. It's not going to make things better with your kids. What money can do is it can help you pay your bills. That's for sure. But it's not going to make you feel whole inside. And there is a drastic difference in that. I think a lot of people simply think that if you have a lot of money, that all your problems are going to go away. And that is not true, and this is why I want to talk about it in this episode, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to this episode. I think a lot of people are misconstrued in terms of, what's more important, fulfillment or money, and, what matters most, right? So, and I want to talk a little bit more about that as well. Now, I've been working with a client who actually kind of, sparked this idea or gave me some inspiration behind this. And I will tell you this, that I would rather choose fulfillment personally over money any day, because I would rather feel more whole as a human being than worry about money. Because I know a lot of people who are constantly worrying about money. And it's actually kind of fucked up, because I know some people who have gone 10 plus years living every single day where they're worried about money. Literally, everything to them is about money. And these are miserable people. These are people that have been divorced. These are people who are lonely. These are people who are depressed. These are people who struggle in a lot of different ways, emotionally, mainly. And it's because they think that money was going to solve all of their problems. And so the suggestion that I have for you here is that you need to find a way how to feel fuller as a human being, emotionally. How to rectify the troubles that you have inside yourself, whether it's through meditation, through therapy, fitness, nutrition. One of the things that I've personally seen a drastic change in is that I wanted to feel fuller. I wanted to feel more fulfilled. I wanted to feel free. And in doing so, I understood that if I was able to accomplish that, then there was going to be a lot of other things that would fall into place. And so I started exercising. I started eating better. In fact, this is the best nutrition I've had probably in my entire life. And I started journaling. Also, I've talked about this in the previous episode, and have seen a drastic difference in the way that I feel as a human being. In the past, I would get frustrated. For instance, when there wasn't enough cash flow coming in with my business, I would get frustrated. And I would allow that frustration to overcome me and to distract me, to derail me from the things that I needed to do. Lack of focus, lack of clarity. And by finding ways, by the way, I probably need to start reading sooner or later too, because, it's kind of one of those things that every successful person that I've talked to reads, and I don't read. So that has been probably one of my biggest challenges. And don't get me wrong, I read online, but I don't actually read hardcover books. And that is another thing. But here's the thing. The point I'm trying to make to you is that, fulfillment is about being content with yourself. And you need to find that. What is that makes you feel content with yourself? Whatever that is. Surround yourself with other people who can help you do that. That is probably one of the biggest advantages for me. One of the most positive things that I've done is that I have selected the type of people that I want to surround myself with that can help uplift and support me in my own journey by finding that fulfillment. Okay? And And so that's really the key message I want to share in this episode, is just that find ways how to feel more content with yourself. If you feel more content with yourself, you're going to be able to make more money and find ways to make more money because you have clarity, you have focus, you have energy, you have clear purpose in everything that you're doing. And mostly you're probably like going, what the fuck, Ivan? How is this going to help me? Trust me, it's going to help you. And the fact that you're resenting it is putting you that much further back from the ability to accomplish whatever it is that you're after. Building that business, rectifying that relationship, feeling happier, whatever it is. And with that being said, I just want to share a couple more things. I have one favor to ask from you. If you feel that I've given you some value in this podcast, some perspective, helped you make a change in your personal life or business, I would greatly appreciate it if you share this podcast with someone else. I'm not selling you anything or forcing you to buy shit that you don't want. I'm simply asking you to share this podcast with other entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to make a change in their life and business. If you enjoyed the podcast and you keep coming back, it would also mean the world to me if you shared a review on Apple iTunes, on Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, wherever it is they're either watching or listening to this podcast. It will help other like-minded folks about the nature of content and value that I share on this podcast and give them a reason to listen. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please email me at ivan@razorsharpdigital.com, or you can also message me on Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And the last fucking thing that I want to share with you before we sign off is never stop trying. Thanks so much, guys. Until next time, peace out.